Tottenham 2, Everton 0. The 3-5-2 weaves its magic once again. For once, for the first time in a while, we saw Tottenham take control of a game from start to finish. Well, kind of. In the first half, it felt like Tottenham were playing a reflection of themselves. Everton playing a low block, being strong defensively and looking for slight opportunities on the counter. And in that first half, it worked really, really well. They had two chances. Demarai Gray blazed way over the bar, and Onana then also blazed over the bar. Tottenham, you can tell this is a team that maybe doesn't control the game as much, as teams above them do in the table. But they did create a couple of half chances here and there. But you could say that Everton and Tottenham were on even terms, and it was a really tight game up until the second half. And then a very important moment happened. Richarlison felt something in his calf. He got taken off. Instead of making a like-for-like change, Conte saw this as an opportunity to once again reintroduce the 3-5-2. Bissouma came on. You could say that was a bit of a surprise. Maybe so, maybe not. If we see Tottenham this season, we know for the Leicester game, for example, where the 3-5-2 was in full effect and the strongest effect so far this season, they were able to put that formation into action once again, introduce Bissouma, and then it became a different match. Suddenly, Tottenham were finding space, and they were creating a lot more chances, even more chances they were creating at any point of the game, at any point of the match. With that in mind, it makes you wonder why the hell don't they play this formation from the start. Maybe now with Kulusevski out and now with Richarlison also out being, him being the backup for the forward players, it means now Conte has no choice but to play 3-5-2 against Manchester United. Come midweek, we'll have to sit and wait and see. But this game can be looked at with much optimism from Tottenham fans because it showed that they would have most of the ball, most of the chances, most of the shots, and actually go on to win the game. Because sometimes, with teams that defend in a low block and suddenly they have all of the ball, they're not sure what to do with it. It's important to know what to do with the ball to make a difference. Everton obviously thought their best chance of winning this game was to sit back and let Tottenham have the ball, and it makes sense, and it was working. And then the 3-5-2 came into fruition. Bissouma, Højbjerg and Bentancur all together in the middle of the park. Harry Kane and Son put on decent performances as well. Richarlison was, I can't lie to you, a bit lackluster. His substitution was enforced, but it's one that maybe would have happened at some point anyways. His first match against his whole team didn't work out quite the way he expected to or quite the way he wanted to. But all in all, Tottenham were able to turn the game around in the second half, thanks to the 3-5-2, and Conte definitely has to think about using that system a lot more. I don't know what else to say about this game. It was just, first half, nothing much really happened. Then in the second half, nothing much was happening at all. Richarlison got injured, and then hopefully he doesn't miss the World Cup. And apparently from what I've heard and what I've seen, it looks like a minor injury. He might be able to be okay for the World Cup, but we'll have to just wait and see as they do more checks and scans and all that kind of stuff. But all in all, it's a very encouraging performance of Tottenham because now they will look at the bigger picture. They sit in second place right now. Obviously, not second place, joint second place, behind City and goal difference, which means third place technically. But, they're still keeping in touch with, the leaders of Man City and Arsenal. Despite, according to many people, they haven't played any good football whatsoever this season. And I think that if that is the case, then imagine what happens if they start playing good football. Reminiscent somewhat of the football they were playing towards the back end of last season and a little bit at the beginning of this season, in particular the opening day win against Southampton. There's one man you could point to towards that, and that's being Kulusevski, and maybe when he returns from injury, Tottenham will reach another gear. But at the moment, Tottenham are doing what good teams do, finding a way to win when you're not playing 100%. They did it early in midweek, even though they really should have closed that game off against Eintracht Frankfurt. The game should have been done, but they managed to get through it, despite a nervy ending. Kane missing the penalty and them scoring, letting Frankfurt score in the last 5-10 minutes of the game. And now they followed up with another good victory against an Everton team that have been slightly under the radar this season. Like the best defensive record this season up until when these random fixtures came. So Lampard's done a decent job. It looks like he's learned from his mistakes at Chelsea so far. With the whole defensive issues and stuff. Obviously signing Tarkowski and Cody must be a big part of that. And in the first half they looked really solid and Tottenham didn't create much. Everton had the best chances with Arnana and Gray. But in the second half, once that 3-5-2 got introduced, it was all done. It was changed. The game was over, pretty much. And I think this system needs to be used in the Manchester United game, personally for me. Son and Kane up front. And had the Basuma, Benteke, Højbjerg partnership in midfield. Obviously, Højbjerg and Benteke have done amazing by themselves this season. You have to do a lot of work in the 3-5-2, being the central midfielders. And they've managed to provide the energy and the drive and the competence and the consistency in that position so far, and that's a key reason to why Tottenham are where they are, despite not playing to the best and the highest level. Obviously, people point to the style of play and say that's ugly, we don't like that, that's not attractive. But the harsh reality is it's getting them results better than, you could say, the end of Pochettino's tenure, even though the football by that point was getting quite stale anyways. So all in all, it's looking all positive for Tottenham fans. It's looking all good. Man United game is going to be another test of their abilities after a draw at Stamford Bridge and a loss at the Emirates. Hopefully they can pull out a victory against another Big Six team. Obviously Dookie versus Zeno, if you know, you know. But yeah, we're going to have to just sit back and see how that goes. Of course there's going to be a reaction to it, But for now, stay tuned for the Manchester City Liverpool reaction, which is going to follow straight after this. So hold tight. But thank you all for listening, and I'm going to pass it over to future Zeno, who's going to talk to you about the Man City Liverpool game. I think it's Man City Liverpool or Liverpool Man City. Take it away, Zeno. Zeno Logic. Thank you, Zeno. By the way, it was Liverpool Manchester City. Now, this was another classic between normally two of the best sides in the league. It was another game to put in the classic archives, another game to entertain, to cause drama, to cause all kinds of feelings if you're a fan of these two teams or not. Now, the game started off with Liverpool intensely coming at Man City, but then Man City slowly turned back the tide in their control. And soon enough, it felt like these two teams were on for another titanic battle between each other. Liverpool came into this game, of course, being much weaker than they usually are at this stage of the season or when they play against City. Instead of being the team in the immediate ascendancy chasing them down, they were the team sitting outside the top 10 after multiple underwhelming performances against all kinds of teams. But in this game, it seemed like they forgot about that completely and were ready to fight and ready to match Manchester City now. Manchester City probably came into this game with a slightly different mentality to how they were beforehand in previous games against Liverpool, where they probably thought they could have, taken more risks because they already thought that Liverpool were a bit more vulnerable than they have been in the past, and you can tell that Man City were a lot more looser, on the offensive side, but Liverpool really came out to play, and maybe that caught them a little bit by surprise. Probably not, because I'm sure Pep has come to expect this sort of level of football from Liverpool, despite the form that they had beforehand, before this game. And in the second half, it continued to be a really, really tight affair. Honestly, this game could have went either way. There was chances for both teams. Now, Liverpool had the clearer chances, but there was chances for both teams. And although the man himself, Erling Braut Haaland, was pocketed and didn't score a goal. Man City, this was because Liverpool, for once, for the first time in a while, actually put, a really solid defensive performance against the opponent, and they didn't concede first, like they've been doing a lot recently, and it looked like a lot of things are corrected now. Is that because Joe Gomez is playing centre-back with Van Dijk? Is that because Robertson's back in the lineup? Is it because James Milner was playing? I don't know, but everyone in that back line played really well. And, Milner managed to keep Foden quiet. Bernardo Silva was kept quiet by Robertson. And Haaland, of course, kept quiet by Van Dijk and Joe Gomez, who was, I think, the Liverpool fans' man of the match on their social media. So, a magnificent performance defensively. And obviously, there was lots of, like, as you would expect, controversial decisions going against. There's one main controversial decision, and that was the goal that they scored straight after what should have been a corner for Liverpool. So obviously controversy on both sides. Salah had a one-on-one. Edison made a magnificent fingertip save, tip it around the post. It turned out it was a goal kick, and after from that goal kick, Man City advanced the ball, and then Haaland was through in goal, and suddenly the ball came out of Alisson's hands, definitely heavily influenced by Haaland's presence. His foot reaching out there and kicking the ball out of Alisson's hands, just for it to come eventually to Philip Foden, and Philip Foden slotting the ball in via deflection of Joe Gomez. And obviously it was such a dramatic way for them to take the lead, but the goal was ruled out. Turns out Haaland pulled down Fabinho in the build-up, but even if it wasn't awarded for that, it would have been awarded because Alisson got the ball kicked off Haaland kicked the ball off Alisson's hand. So all in all, it was a very dramatic game, but the drama wasn't done yet at that point. Alisson, with one of his trademark goal kicks, inspired by Pepe Reina, crossed straight to Salah. Salah did it magnificent to control the ball, bring it down, bear down on goal, and slot it past Ederson. Second time lucky, right? Unbelievable finish and, great composure, giving Liverpool the lead, and Liverpool were able to hold on for a really significant victory. Now, to show you the damage that has been inflicted onto Liverpool this season, the gap is still 10 points behind Manchester City. Don't even think about the gap between the team on top. This is a 10-point gap still, despite the victory, and Liverpool can use this now as a building block to carry on and to keep moving, to keep going forward. While Man City, well, now the gap between them and Arsenal is now at 4 points. They're tied with Tottenham Hotspur, and they got to keep working before the World Cup break, because right now, as it stands, Arsenal are actually going to be top come the World Cup. But nothing can be ruled out in this game we call football. But all in all, Manchester City Liverpool, a fantastic game to watch. Unbelievable entertainment once again. And well, Liverpool managed to eke out winners. But honestly, really and truly, this game could have went either any way. A really dramatic, a really tight game. And, a type of game that was always going to be decided by a bit of magic and the slightest of margins. And the referee correcting his decision to give the goal. And then Alisson's quick bit of thinking to set Salah through and goal were eventually the difference. Shout out to Darwin Núñez coming on, moving like one mad guy with the K-mod. That's all I'm going to say about that. But overall, to give a summary of the game, it was dramatic, entertaining, thought-provoking. Obviously, Klopp barked like a dog when Bernardo Silva pulled down Salah. I thought that definitely should have been a free kick. Like, what the hell? Nonetheless, Klopp was pissed, barked in the referee's ear, got himself sent off. I don't know if it was a sending off, but maybe you shouldn't be getting close to the assistant referee like that. But, it was the emotion of the game. But all in all, a very strong performance from Liverpool. And they managed to build on the momentum that they built after destroying Rangers 7-1, which I did discuss in the previous episode. But that's it from the future Zeno. Hope you guys enjoyed this special 2-in-1 episode, reacting to Tottenham, Everton, and Liverpool, Manchester City. And I'll catch you in the next episode.
Mini Laje.